Good morning, my fellow scoffing, skeptical, doubting Thomas patriots. Tell me, did you ever play that game where you start a rumor as part of the game and you whisper it to the person next to you? And it goes down the line. And by the time the person at the end of the line hears the story, it's changed somewhat. Well, that game reminds me of the game played by Main Street journalists. Take a look at this headline from the New York Post. Cashier slaughtered in supermarket for telling man to wear a mask. A cashier was gunned down inside a Georgia supermarket Monday simply for asking a man to put on a mask, and a retired deputy who intervened was also shot, authorities said. The afternoon horror happened at a Big Bear supermarket in DeKalb, where the worker asked Victor Tucker Jr., 30, to mask up due to the Wuhan flu, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Now, as we'll see in the next story, there is much that this story doesn't go into. What was this retired deputy doing in the store? We'll find out in the next story. You want to guess the races of the gunman, the deputy, and the cashier? Here's a hint. They're all the same race, which is why this story doesn't even show a picture of them. Let's get on to that next story. This from the Daily Mail, a UK newspaper. Picture Georgia cashier 41 who was fatally shot and sheriff's deputy who was wounded by gunman 30 after he was told by a clerk to pull his mask up. Let's go through the bullet points. Lakita Willis, 41, was shot dead after an argument with a customer in Georgia. Victor Lee Tucker, 30, of Palmetto, allegedly entered the store and argued with staff about wearing a mask on Monday. Tucker allegedly left the store before returning and shooting the cashier dead. An off-duty deputy who was working as a security guard fired at the suspect. The deputy, Daniel Jordan, 54, was also hit twice during the firefight. Both the suspect and the officer were taken to a local hospital. Now, as it mentions, this off-duty deputy was working as a security guard at a supermarket. You need an armed guard at a supermarket? Indeed you do in some supermarkets in the United States, in some neighborhoods. Fortunately, this deputy was wearing a bulletproof vest. He knew how dangerous this neighborhood was. Let's take a look at the victim, the suspect, and the good guy with the gun. A police officer. This must hurt the lame street media something bad because a good guy with a gun stopped this criminal from doing even more damage than he did. This is the victim, Lakita Willis, 41. By all accounts, she was a hard-working, gregarious, good person. She was taken out by this animal right here. He's got a rap sheet as long as your arm. He was in turn shot after he shot both the cashier and the security guard. He was shot by this man right here. Now, as you see in the story, it states that this man is both an off-duty deputy and a retired deputy. I wonder which one it is. At 54, my guess is that he's a retired deputy. The owner of this grocery store knew that his grocery store was in such a bad neighborhood that he needed to hire an armed security guard to protect his store, its contents, and most important, the employees. Unfortunately, the security guard was unable to react in time to save the employee's life, but he did manage to bring down the criminal in this case. This is another case of a good guy with a gun taking out the trash. Now, before I end this, let me tell you about a little something in my own neighborhood. Crime in my own neighborhood. I know this happens in more than just my neighborhood, so let's get on with it. When I was checking my emails this morning, I got a notification from Nextdoor.com. Take a look at this from one of my good neighbors who, like me, lives in the southwest part of Oahu. We have thieves in the area. They are cutting off catalytic converters. Last night they snuck in and took one off a Toyota Tundra. I don't know if it's coincidence that a few doors down, people might have been casing the vehicles while working on the roof. This is the type of criminal activity that you see around Oahu. Now, I'm not saying there isn't violent crime, but it's more likely crime like this. It's thieving that you're going to see on Oahu and the other islands. We do have some violent crime, but for the most part, it's crime like this. And in case you aren't aware of it, catalytic converters are probably the easiest to steal, most valuable item on your car. And more people are finding out about it, which is why I'm talking about it. I've actually seen several videos talking about this particular crime in the last 6 months. So I thought I would just throw it out there. Protect your car. What's really bad about this in my neighborhood and in this neighborhood where it happened, garages are a thing. But like most garages here on Oahu, they aren't used for their intended purposes. In fact, in my little close alone, there's only 3 people in the entire close that use the garages for their vehicles. Most garages are used for secondary storage units, and people park their cars either on the street or in the driveway. So people, even if you don't feel like using the garage to protect your vehicle from the elements, maybe you should use the garage to protect your vehicle from thieves.